Um, okay, what I was about to say, Taisha, is I love that so much. Like that stillness is so powerful because I feel like it can clear your mind from um just the things that are on your mind because we take in so
Mhm.
much at any given time. And so to be able to like clear your mind, hear from God, hear what's coming up, like it's so powerful. So I'm glad you were able to incorporate that into your routine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good morning, Alexis. That looks so cozy.
Good
That
morning.
like
Oh
sweater.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It's still early for me. I woke up a little later than intended. I hear y'all talking about prayer. I'm fresh out of my closet.
Oh,
um,
yes.
so yeah, I resonate with that heavily. Yeah.
Oh,
I looked at the time. I was like, "Oh, let me get downstairs and get on this call," because I was looking forward to it. A Q&A was so interesting. Is I was going through my onboarding process, and I had all these questions coming up, and I was like, "When is the next Q&A?" And I looked, and I was like, "Oh, boom,
perfect.
okay,
Yes. That was perfect timing too, because I saw you asking
right."
some of the onboarding questions, and I'm like, yes, this is like perfect timing.
Yes,
That's
it is. Thank you,
awesome.
Taisha. Thank you. I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna get on this call looking all sleepy. So thank you.
Only reason I look halfway decent is because I woke up super early. My daughter's homecoming is today. So she had a hair appointment at 6 a.m. So I was up early and then I came back home while she was there and I got dressed and started recording videos because I was basically waiting on her to text me. So I was like, I'm going to batch record some videos. And then I went and got her and came over here. That's the only reason I'm halfway decent because it is early on a Saturday.
It is so early. My daughter's homecoming is today as well, and only one of them is going. Um,
How come the other
it,
two
it,
aren't going?
it's the other one is only in eighth grade.
Oh,
Surprisingly, I know she's a big girl, but she's only in eighth grade. But then my 11th grader, she has a lot of work to do on her grades. So I
oh,
don't want to be that parent, like, because I have already been that parent. I just want you to have your experience, right? And she doesn't really understand the value of hard work. She thinks that she's supposed to just get stuff just because
yes, she
she's always
does.
gotten it. So I told her, I said, no, you got to work for some of these experiences, are privileges. And I need you to understand that this is priority.
Yep.
So she's not going this year because of that. But I mean, it's a little lighter on me.
I know I did not realize I'm excited today. I feel good today, but this whole like last 2 weeks, I have been like, I cannot wait for this to be over because it's just like my daughter, she bought a dress. She told her friend that she's going with, her friend bought the same dress. She was like, well, we can just accessorize it differently. And I'm like, no, that's like rule number one. You cannot, it's okay, it's already one thing if you go there and somebody has your dress, but like if you go with the person that you're matching, like, no. So then
No.
we started from square one. I had to go get brand new dress, brand new color. Like everything was just so and I'm not a last minute person. So my anxiety was like high. So all this week, I'm like, I just want to be over. I just want to be over. But like this morning when she came out the hairdresser, and I'm like, she looks so pretty. Like I'm really excited. But I agree with you. Um, about teaching that balance because in real life like you don't get an award if you don't do what you need to do. One of the books that I read with my girls that I would highly recommend for both of you to read with your kids is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Kids or Teens, I think is what it's called.
Oh,
They
okay.
have a version of that for adults, but one of the things that they talk about in there, my kids will tell you, I say this till I'm blue in the face, is have tos before one twos. I say that all the time. You do your one twos after your have tos are done. And if your have tos aren't done, the one twos don't exist. Like I say that over and over and over. So I respect that. Like if your grades aren't where they are, that's a have to. You have to do that. That's a mandatory thing. The one twos they don't happen now.
You know what? I'm going to find that book. This is the second time I've heard about this book, and I think I have something saved in my books, and I don't know if it's that one particularly, but it does have something to do with habits. And I'm reading Atomic Habits right
That's
now,
one
and
of my
so
favorite books in the world,
yeah,
Atomic Habits.
yeah, it's giving me like compound um, effect vibes, but
Yep.
very different. But still like reinforcing these things that I know, but now I can add these other methods, to what it is that I already know as far as my discipline, because that's something that God's been working on me all year is my discipline. And so what I'm recognizing, I went through a 40-week class, a discipleship class, and what I further
Ooh,
understood was the first part of disciple is discipline. And so at the end of it was Proverbs 31 woman, and the sister that taught that particular chapter was fire. And ever since, it has just really rewired my whole entire understanding of discipline. And I'm like, okay. So when you say the have tos versus the wants, I think I verbalize it differently, but this is something that I have been conversating with my children about. And this is like, every day I'm looking to grow more and really truly understand prioritizing time. There are times I'm sitting still and I realize like, wait a minute, I'm distracted. Let's reroute, let's redirect. I'm not
Yes.
focused, and when I really focus, I pump out so much work and I surprise myself and I'm like, okay, yeah, you've been playing.
Yeah.
And I had to go repent.
Yeah. Because you're like, I'm not using my time the way I'm
I'm not
supposed
using
to.
no.
I
And
was just
so,
reading something the other day that said like the average American wastes over 2 hours every day. Not, and
every
that's
day,
not even like on Netflix and scrolling social media. That's just like doing like random things that like
random,
don't matter. Like
frivolous. Yeah,
somebody might go to the grocery store 5 days a week when really you should go one day, knock it all out. Then you don't got to go every single time. Like there's certain small little things that suck our time that we don't realize. And like 2 hours is a lot of time. That's a
yeah,
lot. There's a lot that can get done in that amount of time. So I'm glad
it
that you
is.
recognize like when you're streamlined, when you have that focused vision, you get more done because it's true.
Yes, absolutely,
So true.
absolutely. Um, so I actually have. I'm gonna see if I can. Let me open up because I did. I what's so interesting is I start trying to really understand procrastination too, because I think to myself, I have been working on procrastination. I'm honest with myself. I'll sit with myself and I'm thinking, do I still deal with procrastination? Well, what I've come to understand is that my procrastination is not so much procrastination, but it is knowing that what I need to fully put in what it is I'm trying to do is not there, it's not ready. So I
Yeah.
know that if there's something I need to work on, I feel sometimes convicted because I'm like not working on it. But as soon as I have what I need to go, like I get it done, done. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I waited all this time to get this. Like I knew that I needed to work on like my operations stuff, like, operation things, certain marketing things, onboarding things. There's little notes and stuff I put aside to make sure I do it this. But when it actually came down to having to do it, it all start clicking. Like it all
Maybe you
start
didn't see
clicking.
like originally you're like, I know it needs to get done, but there was no need, there was no like drive to get it done right then and there
Right.
because you didn't have a client to onboard. And now you're like, oh, I have a client, I need to onboard. Now I see the value of it. Maybe that's what it
Yeah. That's what, and I'm thinking that's part of it. The other part is I am in a business accelerator course for new and emerging business owners, and it's a business planning guide. And it is specific for brand new entrepreneurs, but it's for profitability. And the way that the course is set up is it teaches you how to write a business plan that is conducive to you doing a proposal to get funding. And so I'm like learning things that had stuff really clicking. And it just so happened to be happening at the same time that I was getting ready to onboard this client. And so as
yeah.
I literally like the week that she's like, okay, I'm going to pay this money. And I'm like, okay, great. Um, that week we were doing our marketing and operations plan. We were learning how to write out a whole entire operations plan. And let me tell you, I had all these files I had started on my computer, but that whole week while I was onboarding her, um, it just clicked to me to start organizing my files differently. I start making specific folders and naming them specific to what they need to do. And it was just happening like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I need to put this here. I need to put that there. I need to start here, start here. And so that's what I was asking the questions on the page about certain things because I knew that there were resources, but it was like, which one is it? Because you know what I mean? Like I could
Yeah.
go through and search it, but maybe quicker to just ask the question, where is it? Where's the resource? And once I found it, it was like, okay, I remember this stuff. And I pulled it out and it was in that stuff, let me tell you, is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal guide because I have an idea of what it is I think I want to say, but then when I see it, it's like, oh, okay, I know what I want to do. Okay, like you said, make it your own, but to know what it should look like and get a gist of what should be said, and you know what I mean, the outline of it. Oh my gosh.
It
Okay,
all starts
so
to come together.
it
Yeah.
just started really clicking. Like, okay. And so I think I just have some simple questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my stuff if anybody else wants to go before me.
All right. Hi, Elvie. Good morning.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, I'll be off camera in just a few. I just finished with a big of one of my clients. I was like, I know my meeting is going on. I don't want to miss it.
That's okay. That's
Uh,
okay. Take your time. I'll have Taisha go first and ask some questions, and we'll have Alexis, and then we'll open up for you, so you can get settled and all the things.
Perfect.
Yes,
Taisha, what's
thank you,
coming up
Dr.
for you?
Latoya.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, of course, I have some like big things that's coming up, and I realized so in the morning time, I've been doing my power hours. Alexa said a whole lot to where I am right now, just being disciplined. Over the summer, I got out of my disciplinary habits, and so I'm getting back to that, and it's so hard when you get out of alignment, it's so hard, but I'm getting back to that. And I was just like, I'm just going to start with one thing at a time. And it was the power hour, which this morning was amazing. So for me, it's just like, okay, so of course I prioritize my book and all of that because I know it's all leading up to that. But it's just I don't know, I guess when I'm in the when I'm in the coaching program, like the certification, you said that we should just put like an hour, or should I do that within my power hour? That's what I want to know. Like, will that shortchange my personal time?
Yeah, so it's going to look different for everybody. For me, I was
Okay.
able to grab an hour out of my day. That's how I built my momentum, as I did I committed to an hour each day, and that hour was dedicated toward my goals. So I still had like
Hmm.
a morning routine, which took about 30 minutes, and then I had an hour dedicated to that. If you feel like you have 2 hours, what I would suggest is do your power hour, your morning routine, like you were talking about earlier when we started the call, and then give an hour to the course is what I would suggest. If 2 hours feels very overwhelming, even though I just told you guys, like I read that like the average American has 2 hours, like we waste 2 hours, so we have 2 hours. The question is, can you find it? But 2 hours feels too overwhelming. You could start a little smaller. So you could do something like 30 minutes in the course and 30 minutes on your like morning routine, and then kind of build up to really get that into your schedule. I agree with you, Taisha, what you said about like momentum. That is probably one of the hardest things, is like when you lose that momentum, it's hard to pick it back up. And so that's why one of the things for me is I'm really other than Sundays, I'm a little bit more lax. But other than that, like I still try to keep as close to possible as a similar routine, because it helps me to keep that wheel spinning, keep myself going. And one of the things that I've even done is I've created like a habit tracker. I have it inside a couple of my like different planners, if you've ever gotten any of my planners. But I look at Alexa. I remember Alexis loved that part when she told me it. But if you don't have that, you can create like a manual one. So you could literally just print out like a sheet of paper and just say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then you can write down like different habits you want to incorporate. So it could be like drinking 64 ounces of water, praying or meditating. And then oh my goodness, like something like logging into the Elevate method, right? Let's say those are like the 3 habits you want to be really consistent with. Each day that you do that, you kind of put like a check mark. And the goal is, sorry, I thought I turned off my notification. And the goal is that you don't want to like break the sequence. Like you want to get as many check marks. So you almost make it, you gamify it. And I found for me that when I gamify habits, it feels fun. So like just another example is like, I'm really wanting to work on my upper body strength. I was in a car accident a couple of years ago and really injured my shoulder. And I've been in physical therapy on and off for probably about 2.5 years. And I just noticed, because I don't do as much with my upper body because I'm so timid or scared of hurting it. I have fallen off with that. So what I decided, this is like the most random TMI habit, but every time I go to the bathroom, I do 10 push-ups. And so now in my brain, I've created this like habit link where I do a push-up. I mean, I go to the bathroom and then I do 10 push-ups. I go to the bathroom, and you'll be surprised. I probably go to the bathroom 5 or 6 times by the end of the day, thanks to my mommy body. But I go to the bathroom 5 or 6 times a day. And every time I go, that's now 50 push-ups that I'm doing at the end of the day. So I've also found like when I gamify my habits, like I said, making that chain and not wanting to break it, or linking habits together, like I mentioned, it makes it fun and it doesn't make it like nearly as overwhelming. So that's a strategy to try with that too.
Yes.
Can I just ask real quick? Is that Savers? Is that the Savers habit stacking?
So no, I didn't learn that with Savers. I don't remember where I learned this like habit stacking, but Savers is amazing. Did you read my morning, what's it called? Morning something.
I forget, but I know I was like binge watching stuff and going through a lot of your content, and the Savers came up, and I was like, oh wow, how come I didn't come across this before?
Savers
And
is a game changer.
Yeah.
Savers is an acronym, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like Scribe. So it's a morning routine acronym. And so the S stands for Scribe, which is journaling. The A stands for saying affirmations. The V stands for visualizing. The E stands for exercising. The R stands for, I don't remember, and I don't remember the extra S. But basically, it's a good morning, like reading. That's what it is. Thank you, reading. I should have known that because I do that every morning. Reading. Do you remember the last S?
The S was Scribe.
The first one was Scribe, or maybe the last one was Scribe, and the first one was
the last one was Scribe. The first one,
let me look it up.
The first one was something else, and I don't know why I can't think of the first one. Hold on, wait a minute.
Crazy.
I have this in my computer. I actually wrote notes on it. Silence. And so when I was looking through Savers, I was thinking, I've already been kind of doing some of this stuff, but I loved what was said about stacking them, because habit stacking is something that I've been listening to. And I also listened to Eric Thomas. He talks about habit stacking as well. And so I was like, okay, this is something that I was doing this during the pandemic, didn't even know I was doing it. And so now that a lot of things have changed, I've moved, I'm like, I want to get back to that place where I was then, because there was something about those habits, those routines I was doing. I didn't realize that there was a whole entire like science and method, and you know what I mean?
100%. And I should have remembered silence, because this is a really cool fact for you guys to know, silence being the first S, but your brain is most vulnerable the first 20 minutes after you waking up. And so when we wake up and the first thing we do is check our social media notifications, or we wake up and we scroll, check our emails, the instant thing we're sending our brain is like, we have all these things to do. And we're sending this like rush to our brain. And so what we really need to do is we need to slowly wake our brain up and then slowly incorporate that. So I do Savers, but I kind of do it out of order. So what I'll do is I always am still when I first wake up, like always silent, always still. And then I will pray. And then I read the Bible. And then I do exercise and reading. I kind of do like I also read that like 20 minutes of like a upbeat cardio workout also wakes your body up. So I'll do like what I call my lazy workout. So I'll do like 15 minutes on the bike. And while I'm on the bike, I'll just read for like 15 of that minute. So I'm on my little recumbent bike, but I'm reading. So it kind of kills two of those things at the same time. But essentially having that routine, one, gives me something to expect, but also sets me up for success, like as I'm going through the day. The only thing that I've added, like in addition to Savers for my routine, is intention setting. Because when we think about the way our mind works, what we focus on is what we find. So if we focus on things being bad, we're going to call in bad things into our life, right? But if we focus on like, I'm setting the intention today that I'm going to get clarity, or I'm setting the intention today that I'm going to have peace, or I'm setting the intention today that I'm going to move through today with ease. I always set an intention for the day and really make that like kind of like that focus for the day. So that would be like the only thing in addition that I add to the Savers piece of it.
I think that falls right up under Scribe though. Like, you still are scribing out, again, something that obviously came to your mind that you have like you said, an intention to do. And I think that goes along with scribing, whether it's journaling or setting an intention. So that's cool. I love that you shared that. Thank you.
That's awesome. Taisha, did that make sense? Kind of how I broke that down. And then you're welcome, LV. I'm sorry, I just saw that message. Or thank you is what I meant. You said you love that. I said thank you, not you're welcome. Thank you. But Taisha, did that make sense for kind of how to break that power hour up?
Yeah, it did make sense, because I've been writing notes over here, and you said what you focus on, you will find. So that was powerful. When I think about that, because I kept thinking about, oh my God, last year I did all of that stuff for my, transformation inside and out. And I'm like, man, I'm where I was, and it started to bring me down, especially with me having so much coming up. And I'm like, but with the power hour, it helped me to focus on what's ahead, not to go back to things that I can't change. So thank you. And it's surrounded by exercise and all of that great stuff. So thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Germany. Good morning.
Good morning, Germany.
All right, Miss Alexis, we're on to your question, then LV, and then Germany. So if you want to start brainstorming your question, Germany, if you're just here to listen, that's cool either way.
I just kind of wanted to get an idea of my thought process is for my 12-week client, right? I have 3 stages that I'm going to take her through. And my thought process, let me just stop real quick. I want to go through this because I don't know that we've ever really talked about like what your suggestions are as far as having a 12-week client. And as I was going through a lot of your examples and your templates, I saw stuff for 12-week client. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should ask questions about what your suggestions are because my thing is establishing like where I think she should be. When I look at my framework, after it's like, here, let me just open up my framework.
Hold on real quick, Alexis, back up. What are you going to be working with her on? Is it around like healing and stuff like that?
It is her mindset, but she gave me some specific stuff and I had wrote them down. Like she's actually very, and I'm like, God had to have done this on purpose because he made me put all this other stuff down. He made me, fix the overcommitting that I was doing, and gave me a pastor as my first client.
Oh, look at that.
Okay. So like I needed uber focus,
Yes.
but she was telling me that she's looking to retire, not fully today. And she wants to maintain like saying no to taking on commitments that would cause her to feel like she should stay on. So she's like, she wants to get more. She wants to work on her mindset so that she can get to doing more in her community and really make changes that are not so much linked toward ministry. She feels like she overcommits to ministry and she's not doing enough actually in the community. So I think she's wanting me to help her with her mindset with that. And she finds it hard to say no. She's like, I really think I have strong boundaries. But when I hear her talking, I'm like, I got an idea where we need to do some of the deep work. She talked a lot of.
It sounds like, do you remember I posted in the group that you heal in tandem with what you teach, and you've been working on not overcommitting, and look at you having to coach her around not over. Let me just say that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna share something I wrote to myself too. I'm gonna share something to you because I know that this is intentional. So yeah. She wants to create lasting results when it comes to dealing with women who are needing a breakthrough. So she shared with me that she is a maximizer. She can take an idea and maximize it, but she wants to understand, like, the way she put it was, I hear everything and want to maximize everything, but then sometimes when I get into it, I'm like, okay, let me scale back, or she basically told me like she'll avoid people. And I'm like, okay. So I think that it still all comes around saying no. You know what I mean? And knowing when 100%. To say no. And so just really trusting herself and listening to her intuition, listening to her body, like, just honing in on what do I feel led to do? And that's what I'm learning is, do I feel led to do this? You know what I mean? And what is feeling me led to do this? Is this coming from a place that I need healing and that I'm trying to affirm myself or trying to validate myself, outside the image of God, or is this something that I feel assigned to do when I'm sitting in my silent time? This is something that's coming to me, So, yeah. And so she says that she said, she wants to eventually, because once she does retire, she eventually wants to sing. She hasn't told anybody in her church that she sings because she doesn't want to commit to it just yet. And she talked about some administrative things because there are some things she comes up with, but she has somebody else does her work because of her anxiety that she deals with. And she talked to me about how she has been treated for PTSD because of some past issues. And so now I'm like, okay, I know a little bit of her history. I'm going to do a little bit more digging into like her habits or her background and stuff like that, and do an analysis so that I really can. I'm gonna screen her for her her learning style, screen her for her attachment style.
Attachment
And
style was the first thing that came up, but yep,
yeah,
love it.
attachment style. And then screen her for what her strength is, her overall, like her strengths are versus, and I would say her higher strengths versus her lesser strengths, because I
You
don't
know,
like to
a
say
good strength-based assessment is a Myers-Briggs. If you look up 16
Myers-Briggs.
if you
Okay,
look
I
up
was going to use
16
Gallup.
personalities,
Okay.
it's like I did that before at like my 9 to 5. I've done it before, and like my family, we did it one time together and like shared it. I've done it like a couple different places, but if you look up 16 personalities, free quiz. I actually had my daughter do it recently. Because that also will highlight like different strengths she has as well.
Okay.
If anyone knows their Myers-Briggs, I'm curious, put it in the chat if you know yours.
I think it's been a long time since I've done that one. I have most recent one I've done was the Gallup, and that's one I was going to look into. But thanks for sharing this one, so I'll look into doing this one. And so, I'll tell you what my thoughts are for taking her through this process,
Okay.
and then it's not what I want.
Elvie, you said you've done yours. If you remember it, put in the chat. I'm curious.
All right.
That's a Myers-Briggs. If you look up 16 personalities, Taisha, that's what I was just telling Alexis. It's just like a little personality quiz. It more so tells you like how you're socialized. What INFJ stands for is I am an introvert, I'm intuitive, I'm feeling, and I'm a judger. Not judger like I'm judging you, but like I'm very strict and like firm about my like how I approach things. So I'm very like I'm on time. I am if someone says they're going to do something, I want them to like follow through. If I say I'm going to do something, I follow through. Like versus like perceivers are more like let's just kind of like go with the flow and things like that. So that's kind of what that one means. But if you take the 16 personality test, which I highly recommend, you just like Google it, you'll figure out your number. And there's actually a fifth one now. I haven't taken it in years. There's like a fifth one. It's like an A or a T, like turbulent or assertive, but I don't remember that one. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Alexis, with your question.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm just listening. I am listening. So my framework, let's open that up. Why is it not here? It should be here. Okay, I need to move it because it's not there. I like when I this whole process had me making like my schedule outline, scripts for clients, operations stuff.
Let me ask you, Alexis, when you did the group program a couple months ago and you had the clients in there, did you not do onboarding with them? Like, is there anything you can repurpose from that?
No. And what I've decided, it was a 30-day boot camp. And so there was no onboarding because literally it was just like an information session, question, Q&A session, pretty much. And so what I felt like I was going to do from that was make it a course. So I'm literally going back and listening to my videos and typing everything out. And what I figured I'd do is I got to find a way to get my lives off of Facebook. I don't even know if I can do that. I got to figure it out.
You have to make them public. And then there's a website you can go to that says, download your lives from Facebook. And then you type in the URL and then you download it. They just have to be public though.
Because what I want to do is make it a course that is just remote. Like, I want to take my 30-day boot camp, make it into a course, something that people can access, and I don't necessarily have to show up for that.
Love it.
Biggest thing I've been praying about is residual income. So what I figured I'd do is take. Here we go, Steve. Okay, I don't understand why the main thing that I need to go over is not where it should be. I'm glad I caught that.
Here we go, your ship.
Well, maybe while you're looking for that, just for sake of time, so LV in Germany can
yes,
go.
Yes, please.
Go, and then I'll come back to you before I go to Germany. You might be able to find it by that point.
Okay.
Hey, LV, it's good to see your face. Uh-oh, I think I can hear you. You're on mute. I see it.
Oh, I didn't hit unmute. You know, I'm the newbie of the Elevate Method program, or at least. So I'm only like shy of like 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, my 3rd week into the program. So I guess what I'm finding challenging is actually implementing and embodying the techniques that I'm learning. So I'm doing the actual work, and I'm trying to find time, like that carve out time, or to actually do these techniques on those around me, so that I can, I don't want to just take in the information, but I want to use it and, make use of it so that it can be ingrained and that I'm actually embodying it. So I find it challenging because, again, I have, my three kids, and just going through like personal things, and then I had worked my 9 to 5, doing I'm not going to even necessarily say makeup. I have a lot of things on my schedule essentially, but I want to make time for what I'm passionate about, and the things that was passionate and what I'm purposeful about is what the program itself. And I don't know, I think it's just time, finding that carve out time. And how is everyone else, or how has everyone implemented the techniques? Like, does anyone have any suggestions as to how they incorporated that while also going through the while going through the program? Because I find myself supplementing reading books for personal development and more knowledge, but I'm also with the program trying to learn and upskill. So it's like that sense of overwhelm, it's there. And I feel like I'm overstretching myself, but I'm trying to motivate myself. Like, girl, you got this. You can do it. This is only temporary, but it drives only so far when there's still an end goal at hand. Like, the goal is to, to graduate, to be, certified with, within the master's program. But I also want to, embody what my learnings. And again, I know I'm only early on into the program, but I still want to. I'm just trying to figure out what has anyone done to like implement those techniques and those learnings while they're doing the course.
First off, I'm gonna let the ladies answer for sure, because they're literally in the trenches with you. But I just want to say that I love that you're asking this question so early on, because you're spot on. Like, information means nothing without integration, right? How are we integrating it? And that's where the transformation actually takes place. So I love that you're asking that. I love that you're already so like passionate and like supplementing what you're learning. And I love that you're also aware of like, man, I'm wearing all of these hats and I'm trying to find this like amazing balance to still be able to do what I want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let some of the ladies kind of answer some things that they've done, because you're in good company here. Like, everyone here has children, we're all wearing like multiple hats. And so I feel like some of these strategies they may be able to share will probably be very supportive. So whoever wants to take the floor to share with LV, go ahead.
Hi, LB. So, first off, I want to say I just love the post that your statuses that you post on Facebook. You're already an amazing coach. I was gonna say, like, for me, it is a sacrifice, because Dr. Nicolia, like, as I was going through the certification, Dr. Nicolia is a teacher. And she puts so much there because she wants us to have all the information like that we need, so that we won't feel like we're not supported. So we're there to keep revisiting it, and it's gonna take repetition. There was some videos that she said watch twice. I watched
Yeah.
it like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, because repetition trains your subconscious mind. And so when you're operating in the subconscious, you can do it without thinking about it. So what I would say for you, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate. We all like have children. We are wives in here. We are entrepreneurs of more than one business. All of this is stuff that we have on our plate. But I would say, if you sit down and see what you can eliminate at this time, what can you put on the back burner, or maybe you may need to wake up earlier or stay up later.
That's waking up earlier. I have implemented that. I'm waking up, so I'm on Central Standard Time, for anyone who doesn't know, and I'm waking up at 5 in the morning, but my shift starts at 9. So between getting up my girls for school, having them to one of my daughters to daycare by 7 again, and then I find myself lethargic midday. And then afterwards, helping kids with homework and these other things, I'm like, okay, where's my carve out time that's not disservicing to my mental? Because I try to psych myself up like, girl, you got energy. And I'm just like, I'm just not feeling it. And I can't sit and read or listen to an audio if I'm not fully present in my mind. So I'm like, it's counterproductive. Like it's I'm listening. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
understand.
cut you off, but girl, I'm trying.
No, that was good. You didn't cut me off at all. That was good. What I did was I started back taking my vitamins. So
Mm,
I challenged myself recently to 30 days of consistency. And like I said, I started off with one habit at a time because a lot of times we be trying to be consistent at
ooh, that's it.
everything. And it's really hard to be consistent at everything when your focus is on the main thing. So I made eliminations, and this is like I've tried to do this three, 4 times, but this time I meant it. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I started back taking my vitamins because you got to feed your brain. We're dispersing
Mhm.
all this energy. What are we putting back in our bodies? And so I started back exercising for 15 minutes. I didn't make my goals so massive to the point I can't reach them. And then I took my multivitamin, which is like 75 vitamins or something like that, or minerals. It's amazing. It gave me the energy that I needed. On my walks, my morning walks was for 30 minutes. I've been doing that for 3 weeks. Every morning, just 30 minutes of just peace and tranquility. And
Yes.
then you just set that 1 hour, like maybe yours is at nighttime before you go to bed, but you need energy. That's what I'm hearing and what you're
Yeah,
saying.
you're
You need
right.
energy.
That's spot
So
on.
that's my take on it. I'm gonna let the rest of these amazing coaches speak.
This is good. Thanks, Ty.
I want to
You're
piggyback off
welcome.
of what Taisha was saying. You need
You froze up, Alexis.
I was just about to jinx her and say her Wi-Fi is working today, so I'm so excited, and it's not.
needing energy, and everything she said,
Alexis,
I
you went
totally
out for a
identify with
while.
diet. But you, uh-oh. What about now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. Everything was smooth. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we're gonna get this out. So one is that it sounds like it's the same for you. You may need to break down your habits in order to really pinpoint when you are most mentally energetic, because that is when you're going to really put the most and the best into your power hour. So for me, I understood that first thing in the morning, if I really wanted to get some good things done, I have to be intentional about the way that morning goes so I can have that hour. And I've recently found that there are some particular days that if I feel overly energetic to stay after the kids sleep, because I can pump out even more work, but that's not all the time. And so you might need to do that habit tracker to really already kind of like evaluate and do like an audit of yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Track yourself and see what you're doing, and then try to take notes on yourself. Like, okay, so at this day, at this time, I found myself more productive doing this, or I found myself more lethargic doing this, or I found myself, finding a reason to veer off and not be focused for whatever reason, because sometimes you got to know when that's happening as well so you can redirect yourself. But for me, what I found is either before everybody else get up, or when everybody else is going to sleep, when I can actually focus. And it depends on what you're focusing on. Some stuff I can focus with background noise. Some stuff I can focus when a lot of stuff is going on, and then others. And so it just depends on what it is.
And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. So
I hope that helps.
I'm definitely gonna try the habit tracking. I've tried, well, I guess revisit the habit tracking, because like when I do like a full assessment of my day, I work 9 to 5 in my corporate job, and I find that my most productive, like where I'm most creative and where I can like mostly retain and ready to write down ideas and take in more information, is during those hours. But I can't deviate from within that time. So now I have to make my schedule work for me. So I'm trying to 5 to 6 in the morning use that as my power hour. So I'm working like I'll try like this 30-day the 30 days, kind of like what Ty was saying, to make my schedule work for me, because I know mentally, before noon is where I'm like, I can retain like the most, and it's super productive for me within that time. But realistically, I can't stop work and say, okay, let me get schooled. You know what I'm saying? Let me do this. So
Absolutely.
I'll try like the between 5 and 6 implement, like, because I'm very, very intentional, like with the words I say, like with my affirmations. I'm heavy on like being in tune and energy and things like that. So between 5 to 6, I'm gonna try that out, like my yoga, my meditation, but also with this, with school within that hour, like try to crunch it in, because I can go on and on with you guys about like why isn't working, but ultimately I just have to reassess like my times, my day, and just not overwhelm myself, because I find myself overly ambitious. So it creates that overwhelm, and then also just not maximizing. I guess trying to maximize my time that I have without my kids, and that's before, while they're at school, before they get up in the morning, and then by the time they're actually down for bed, I'm ready to go down for bed. So it's that sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice. And this is what I'll tell you is when I was working a 9 to 5, I had to be intentional about my bedtime if I was going to wake up and be productive. And I noticed that if I did not go to bed when I said I was supposed to go to bed and my routine didn't go where it was supposed to go, I woke up and I was not productive. I didn't do what I had set out to do. And then I'd be kicking myself like, okay, what did I do wrong? And when I start paying attention to what it is I was doing, start tracking, I'm like, no, if I'm going to if this really matters to me, to be this way in the morning and to do what it is I need to do, to soak in what I need to soak in, my bedtime has to look like this. And I can't deviate from my bedtime, because that's setting me up for the morning.
Thank you. So I'm walking away with some nuggets. I got my tracker from Alexis. I have my 30-minute, and my 30-day. I'm gonna try this for 30 days, and I'm gonna circle back to the group and let y'all know how it pans out. But I'm speaking over it that it will work out great. I have to be very diligent, like, in sticking to it. So, all right, guys.
Absolutely.
You're such an
Yes.
action taker. I already can envision the post that's getting ready to come. You missed it right before you got on. We actually talked about trackers. So it's funny that it just keeps circling back around. Like, I love that. Taisha, you had your hand up. Were you going to add something else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask her, if you don't mind sharing, how old are your children?
I have a 9-month-old, a 8-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Okay, you have babies. So
Yeah, and I do, and actually, and I think in the contract, Dr. Nicole, you put about like speaking with our therapist. I'm in therapy, like I was dealing with postpartum, and I'm overcome, like, not to be too personal, but just to make it make sense for everyone as to why, like, I'm in this state and why I'm overly seeking like help for this. Just kind of determining, like, divorce kind of scenario with my, where I am. So it's mentally a lot. So I'm just trying to navigate through everything to make life work for me. So this is me focusing on myself, getting my life together so that I can be at my best for myself and my kids, ultimately.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I understand. Oh, go ahead, Alexis.
No, I was just, if I just could just take a couple minutes just to share something that I think that might be helpful in these beginning stages, because this is where I found myself caught up. I closed out of the storytelling, certificate storytelling program for community healing. And one of the things that was shared was a prompt to share something that you're struggling with right now. He gave us 30 minutes, and I was so busy this day. I was like running the kids here, there. And, by the time that I was able to come back to my desk, I had 5 minutes. And one thing that stuck in my head was, he was like, just put the pen to the paper and write. Don't try to organize your thoughts. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to be, extra creative. Just write down your thoughts. So let me share with you what came up for me. And I had planned on writing on something else, but I was like, nope, let me just write what he said. In 5 minutes, I wrote a whole page, and this is what it says. I'm all over the place in my body and in my mind. For the things that I know that I should have said no to and said yes, I now understand why that no was needed and why it was important. And for the things that I wanted to say,
Scrolls.
And maybe said no or felt compelled to engage in. And we said no more overcommitting. Yeah, sure. I guess I can do that. Agreeing to, well, why don't you? Or you would be great at, or I thought you would be good if, and my old favorite, I would love it if you could. but more firm, stern boundaries. No, thank you. I appreciate you thinking about me. That's not my priority right now. I don't feel led to do that. Thanks, but no thanks. Or just a flat out no. I want to be good, but not a people pleaser. Great, but not all over the place to get there, and be a blessing without being and feeling like a mess in the process. Less stress, more peace, stillness, serene scenery, fresh air, sunlight, self-care, family time, alone time, leaving less time to be non-purposefully busy.
That was deep. I like leaving more time to be the non-purposefully busy side end of it. With me, I feel like I enforce my boundaries. I guess necessarily, I would say in a sense, overcommitting could be a part of it, but it's like, you know, how you're so eager and you're so ambitious and you feel like it's just so relative and it's a need, but I don't want my need to outweigh like my mental ability to do all this, be all.
Yes, that's something, what came up for me was I was in a development stage and I recognized that. And I was trying to affirm myself out of alignment with what my development was supposed to look like. And I was including all these other things, thinking that this is going to add to my development. And it actually was taken away from it because yes, it was taken away from it. It was taken away from the time and the intention I needed to really dedicate to me specifically and what it is I needed to do. Because I feel like I'm so gifted and I'm so good at all these things and I want to affirm this development that I got going on, I'm going to go and say yes, and I'm going to do this for this person and I'm going to do this for that. And then you find yourself focusing on their visions and not yours. And so that was just like a precautionary kind of share. You know what I'm saying? That you're in this development stage and you're learning all these things and you want to.
It always stops it right when it gets good.
I know, but that was so deep. It's the support and sisterhood, because I feel like it's relative because we all have like this similar and shared experiences. So it's so good to hear this. And I'm I'm listening and note taking. I promise y'all, I'm just soaking it all in. And I'm definitely going to apply, because it's the action state. Germany, I'm done with me, but because what you may be about to inquire about is something that I too wanna, I can apply to myself and know. But thank y'all. I appreciate it. I love the sisterhood here. I love it here.
Absolutely. So literally what I've been telling myself every day, I was actually going to post it last night because I just realized that there's small things. I saw a post of an older person. I'm pretty sure this person is like, I should know his name, but I don't. But I saw somebody post him saying, like in a thank you speech for receiving an award or something, he said the fastest way to get to where you're trying to go is slowly. Slowly put one foot in front of the other, build brick by brick, one at a time, and have patience with yourself.
That's good.
Because what you're trying to create is going to take your life's experiences to help you get there, because it is essentially your life, and it is the gift in your life and what you're gifted to do that you're giving, but you still got to allow yourself to experience, and you cannot be trying to put yourself everywhere, and you can't be trying to do it real fast, and you can't try to hurry up and speed up the process either.
I love that quote. I literally just said on a story post, I think it was yesterday, I just said, like, even when we plant those seeds that we don't understand like where it's going, it always reaps a beautiful harvest, but it's in our patience that it does. It's not in us trying to just throw seeds everywhere hoping something happens, but it's the way in which we water it and like how we're patient with the process to wait for that harvest. Like, so I love what he said. The fastest way to get to your dream is slowly. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that. I like that too. I thank you for sharing it. I like that. And that's just, I'm gonna keep reminding myself about the slow pace, but that ambition creep up. Like, you have these goals that I want to finish this by this date. I want to get there.
One more thing came up for me, and I'm gonna move on. Don't get caught up in seeing other people moving at whatever pace that they're moving that was set for them, but look at it as, this is what's possible for me, not like I should be there, or I need to do more, or I'm falling short. right? Like allow it to inspire you and see it as, okay, I'm thankful and I'm grateful for being able to see what's possible for me. Like, you know what I mean? This person is at this stage, you know, and even within the cohort, you know what I'm saying? Don't allow that to make you feel like you need to do more, you're not doing enough, or that you're not where you're supposed to be.
There's a
Yeah.
meme that I saw, LV, that I want to add, and I want to let Germany go too, since we only have a couple more minutes. But like, there was a meme where two people were swimming, and they were obviously trying to get to the same target, right? One person was focused on the finish line, and the other person was focused on the other person. And so the person that made it to the finish line was the person that was focused on the finish line, not the person
Right.
that was watching everyone else. And so I thought that was so simple yet so powerful. Like, we have our finish line, that's what we focus on, but we can't watch everyone else. But if we do see everyone else, like Alexis said, I talk a lot about it in the course, but I always say expanders. Like, when I look at people that are ahead of me, that are where I want to go, I look at them as expanders. Instead of being like jealous or defeated, I say, okay, this is a possibility for me. And what skills do I need to embody now to be able to step into that next level? And that's what I use it as an expansion, a possibility for me.
Yeah, I think, and I know we're about to get right to Germany. I apologize, I'm gonna say this and I'm done. I don't think that it's me more so focusing on like those around me. I feel like I'm just disengaged with other people's progression. However, for myself, when I set target dates, I hold myself to such a high standard with reaching that. Like, I'm like super overachieve. Like, I got to get to this. Like, not something you said. Don't change the route. I mean, don't change the destination. Change the route. So I'm like, I understand these roadblocks won't happen, but I'm like, it's still my deadline is my deadline. I gotta hit it. So,
And even if you don't, you'll hear me say this a lot in the course too. Even if you don't, failure is not only feedback. So if you, quote unquote, if that perceived failure happens, ask yourself what you learned from that experience. Because that's how, it's not Thomas Edison. And I hate when people say Thomas Edison, because he's not the one that created the light bulb. It's actually a Black man. And I just can't think of his name. That's going to drive me crazy. But
Yes.
light bulb. But he created, the actual Black man that created the light bulb created it because he failed multiple times. And every time he failed, he went back to the drawing board and he said, okay, what did I learn from this? And we wouldn't have lights, but he kept going back to the drawing board and allowed that failure to be that feedback that he built that momentum on to learn from it. So you're a lot like me, LV. I sense that. Like, I am such a like overachiever. Like, when I set a goal, I want it done, and I want it done by that date. But
yes,
but we have to give ourselves grace, and then we have to think of what are the lessons that we're learning along the way. And I love what Jeremy said. The map is not the territory. There are many ways to get to where you're going.
that's right. Thank y'all. Come on, Germany. What you have for us, girl? I want to hear it. Thank you, God. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm so glad you asked that question, because like I said, this is a sisterhood and you're going to be supported here. All right, Germany. I know you have a question, and then Alexis, I know when you're still looking for your stuff, we have a master's call after that. We can talk about that, and because we're going to be talking about email. So if you want to stay after, but Germany, go ahead.
You all are amazing. I was just sitting over here soaking in all of the stuff. So my camera's not on because I'm in the tub relaxing after all of that twerking I just did over social media. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I was
Yes.
so then I went hiking, so my legs hurt.
Oh wait, I missed it. I'm going to find it. I'm
You
absolutely
gotta go
going to
find
find
it,
it.
Nicole, because I was getting down. But I had to piggyback off all y'all. Y'all did amazing. Gems dropped. I do have a question. Children. Everybody has been coming to me about, do I do work with children? The things that I coach around, can I, incorporate this stuff for children? Literally, it's coming up over and over. And so my big cousin, she's doing a lot of work with the socioeconomic learning. I don't know if you heard about that before in the school system and stuff. She's very passionate about that. And right now she's dealing with like contracts and stuff. And she actually called me over to be a partner with her with that. So I would have to figure out a business plan and lay everything out for the children at the place, and it's going to be like staged learning. So they're going to come to me at a certain part of the process in her business plan. So my question is, have you ever seen anybody doing any of these NLP techniques or any of this stuff with children, or even just, I guess, teenagers?
This is so funny to me, because I literally just saw an ad yesterday for mindset coaching for teenagers. And I was like, that's dope. Second off, I just found out on Shamika's birthday, she posted her age. She's 22 or 23. I can't remember. And I was like, oh my God, if I had these tools at 22 or 23, I'd be a whole different person. So this is so funny. This whole week I've been like contemplating and thinking like, this is crazy. Third off, I had a lady, my daughter's in a STEM program, and she asked me to come in and teach mindset stuff, which I was like, I don't know how I would do that, but I would love to. But fourth, there's the last thing. I teach it to my kids all the time. So what I would say is you 100% can teach it to kids. If we think about like the younger we are, the more our brains are like sponges. They're taking in information all the time. And when we teach these skills at a young age, we normalize it. Like I tell you guys all the time, my 13-year-old doesn't want anything to do with this stuff. But she's like, oh, you're too out there. Like you're always just too bubbly and happy. You never used to be like this. Whereas my 9-year-old, she'll buy into it. She'll do tapping with me. She'll sit down and do affirmations with me because she's still at that age where it's like she's impressionable and she's taking it in. Now, that's not to say that 13-year-olds won't take it in, because I do notice moments where it hits my daughter. Like I'll hear her saying her affirmation, even though she won't directly say it. But I know that this stuff can be powerful. The thing that I would say about working with kids is making sure that parents are comfortable with what it is that you're doing. You want to make sure that parents understand what you're doing and that they feel like it's aligned for their kids, because this is not work that we see everywhere. Like this is bigger than us just telling you stand in the mirror and say a whole bunch of affirmations. We're literally talking about the power of your mind, how your mind works, how to leverage it, how to be effective. Like we're teaching things that are not done. And I think that making sure that parents buy into it and understand the value of it or see the value of it, I think that that's the biggest thing. But 100%, I wish that I knew this stuff when I was 9, 10, 11, 12. I was such a negative person, and I would have called myself I would have said I was a
Pessimist.
realist. Yeah, I wouldn't have called myself a realist. I would have been like, I'm a realist. Like the reality is this, but I was really pessimistic. Like
That's how
hardcore
my dad
pessimistic.
is, and he call himself a realist all the time, but he doesn't realize how negative that he comes off.
Yeah, and my mom she is a hardcore like optimist, always has been. Like, I joke with my mom, she'll be like, kids, we're gonna go to a funeral today. Like she can see the like light in a funeral, like she is so positive, and I hate it. I hated it because it triggered that part of me that wanted to be quote unquote real, but really that part of me that wanted to be negative. And like I think back, like it's taken a lot. I talked about this, LV, in your post. Like it's taken a lot of unlearning for me to get to the point to be intentional about being positive, to be intentional about staying like high vibe.
Yeah.
And I think like if I had learned that earlier, it would have been a game changer. And so Germany, I don't feel like it's an accident that that's coming up. Like
Right.
And it's so funny, and you're right, it's not an accident, because I went to Texas. Then it's my last thing. I know time. I want to respect the time boundary. Just the last thing, but I was in Texas. In Texas, they have a lot of different specialized schools, kind of like St. Louis. Like they have like different like STEM schools. Like they had schools for leadership, strictly for leaderships. Then they had schools that were strictly for like STEM, and that was involved in their curriculum. So I was wondering, like, over here in Illinois, I'm like, okay, well, why don't we have those types of schools? You'll see them in St. Louis, but you don't see them over here on the Illinois side. So I'm thinking in my head, like, man, if we had this type of stuff in our schools over here, then our children will be able to, start off a lot better with leadership and learning these types of tools and stuff. So literally, my cousin came, my auntie came, my cousin came to me, and then another one of my friends, her daughter is probably 9 years old, and she's a highly sensitive kid. So it's just like, oh my goodness, I'm just discovering I'm a highly sensitive person, number one.
Ooh.
And number two, I do want to do work with children. I've always have, but I was always kind of hesitant because, I don't know. I just always was kind of hesitant, but my personality is fit for kids because I'm so bubbly. But yeah, like I got to figure out how to build a curriculum for them. Because I'm also going to be looking into trying to get funding so people can figure out how to pitch it to the right people, so then they can understand why this is so necessary, which is what my cousin is already doing, to be honest.
Do you remember when you first came to me, you said like you wanted to make a difference, like in the culture, in the community? That's where it's at, it's kids. Like we start with that generation. That was the first thing you said to me. Before you knew anything about highly sensitive people, before you knew any of those pieces, you were like, I want to give back to the community and make a difference like for our culture. But I don't know what that looks like. I'm trying to figure it out. And there's a lot of funding for kids, a lot of like grants and things like that, especially if you go into schools or things like that. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Okay, I'm a dive deep in that. Thank y'all.
You're dope. I just have to say that.
Yes.
Mindset shifts are in demand. Yes.
I love it.
All right, ladies. Well, that is our wrap up of our Q&A. Y'all know as always, like if more questions come up, you can post it in the group. You will be supported there. But I just am really excited for this being the start of a new month. Sorry, my daughter's bringing in groceries if you hear that in the background. I'm excited for it being the start of the new month. So what I would challenge you to do, like as you end this call, or when you end the call and like move into today, is set your intention for what it is that you really want to call in this month. I talked about intention setting earlier, and I just said like what we focus on is what we find. So when we set our intention, that's what we get to call in. So I challenge you to set your intention for October. And I would love if you even posted it in the group, just so other people that aren't on the Q&A call today can see that intention. They'll be setting theirs, and we can kind of just hold each other accountable in that way to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, y'all. I'll see you, Taisha and Elvie. I'll see y'all later. And then I know Alexis and Germany, y'all are staying on for the master's call. We'll talk about email.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mhm.